Good morning, everybody. Before we begin our meeting today, September is Children's Cancer Awareness Month. And in our town's effort to raise awareness and show support, we've launched a gold ribbon campaign here at Town Hall in honor of the children who have been affected by cancer and with the support of the Christina Rena Foundation. We've invited Phil Rena and Charlie Klein of the Christina Rena Foundation here this morning to be recognized on behalf of their organization's efforts to battle the scourge of pediatric cancer. The Christina Rena Foundation is dedicated to supporting childhood cancer research and furthering awareness and education through the support of cancer groups and outreach programs for those in need. Childhood cancer rates have been rising slightly the past few decades, and this year, 2018, over 10,000 children under the age of 15 in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer, according to the American Cancer Society. Cancer is also the second leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 14. But despite cancer being the #1 cause of death by disease in the U.S. for children, research funding, specifically for childhood cancer, is less than 4% of all national cancer funding. So as you pass the gold ribbons outside, please take a moment to remember those we have lost in their battle to pediatric cancer and those who are currently going through treatment. So I would ask Phil and Charlie to please step forward. We have a citation for the foundation. Dorothy, would you like to join us for the photo?
How you doing?
It's an honor.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
Right there.
I have a small first picture for you. These, we give them the ribbon. These 2 weeks, we give them out to the sports teams, and now the town we give out over 5,000. Cross-country teams are going to wear them through the season, and I just wanted you and the board to have it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for
much. I
everything.
appreciate all your
Thank you.
efforts.
Thank you. Yes. 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 We do that.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone again to our regularly scheduled town board meeting. For those of you who have never attended a meeting before, we will first have public hearings, followed by an administrative calendar. There are meeting agendas available in the rear of the pavilion. If you wish to be heard on any matter, please fill out a form and hand it to the public safety officer. After the meeting is adjourned, the town board will follow our custom of 350 years and remain in session to hear residents who would like to address the board on other matters. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Ambrosino. Here. Councilman Blakeman. Here. Councilman D'Esposito. Here. Councilman Dunn. Here. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Here. Supervisor Gillen.
Here. I now ask Councilman D'Esposito to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the first public hearing?
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish. He's saying. Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the one-story wood frame, one-family dwelling with attached garage and remove all litter and debris from property in Merrick.
I do not have any slips on this matter. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the in-ground swimming pool and remove all litter and debris from the property in Merrick.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. And Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the one-story wood frame, one-family dwelling with attached garage and remove all litter and debris from the property in Wantagh.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore, Elmont, Levittown, Oceanside, Roosevelt, and Woodmere.
I do not have any slips on this item. Is there anyone who would like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Belmore, East Atlantic Beach, Elmont, Franklin Square, Levittown, Malvern, Merrick, Oceanside, Roosevelt.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law be adopted.
Second motion.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Baldwin, Belmore, Franklin Square, Inwood, Levittown, Lido Beach, Lynbrook, Oceanside, Wantagh, West Hempstead, near Westbury.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and that the local law be adopted.
Second motion.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding loading zones in Roosevelt.
I do not have any slips on this matter. Is there anyone who would like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move to close the proposal and recommend that you accept it.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law in relation to enacting enhanced signage requirements for retail sale of electric aerosol delivery systems, vapes.
Felix Procacci.
Felix, if you don't mind, can I make a quick statement about this before? Thank you. Madam Supervisor, is that all right? Yes, please. Thank you. I propose this legislation as part of my multi-prong approach to address the concerns of cigarettes and vaping in teens. Just last week, the FDA declared electronic cigarette use by teens as an epidemic in this country. This is particularly disturbing in light of the fact that the studies released this week with findings that were released this week with findings that 1 in 11 students have used marijuana in the electronic cigarettes. I began this task force earlier this year to address the issues of vaping and in addition to the idea of vaping as a gateway to drugs. One of the concerns that I've heard consistently is that the teens that are using the vape products have no idea what they contain, and that they contain a nicotine, which is very, very addictive. The nicotine in these vapes are almost 10 to 20 times stronger than the nicotine that we had as children when people tried smoking cigarettes. So it's really very, very, very addictive. This legislation that we're talking about today is designed to correct that misapprehension that vaping is not hazardous to your health. It absolutely is, and we have to educate them somehow. So how do you do it? Put it in black and white right in front of their face. This legislation will require any business that sells electronic cigarettes, vapes, products to post a sign like this. Well, this is too small. This is the actual size of the sign, but this is what it says. So you have a visual of what they're going to see when they go to the cash register to purchase this, whether it be mom and dad buying it for the kids, whether they get their older brothers or sisters or friends to purchase, because you have to be 21 to purchase the stuff. But right now, this is the actual size that's going to be in the stores if we pass this today, and hopefully we will, but this is what it contains. So I'd leave it.
Very happy.
Thank you. So let me just finish up. All right. My sincerest hope is that once these kids see in black and white and red that these products are dangerous to their health, that they'll think twice before purchasing or using these products. Thank you, Madam Supervisor.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Procacci?
Felix Procacci, 1165 Bond Street, Franklin Square, New York. I want to talk about enhanced signage. This is the sign outside my park, Averill Park, that says no smoking and vaping and/or vaping strictly prohibited in this park. These are the kids I coach, some of the kids I coach who run at that park. These are kids taken with a zoom lens. I don't show their faces because they look like they're underage, lighting up. The park employees have told me they've called the police numerous times. We have called, the track club has called the police. All they do is escort them out of the park. Now, here you have an instance. Now you have a real thing, not just abstraction, a group of kids and there's some statistical number. You have actual kids doing something, whether it's marijuana, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's vape, whatever it is, it's illegal anyway. And all they're doing is being escorted by the Nassau County Police Department out of the park. So as far as sending any sort of signal that this is bad, it's crazy. I mean, you could put your sign up. Okay, put your sign up, but I can tell you right now, it's going to do nothing.
Can I interrupt you just for one
I
second?
please don't. After I finish, you have an infinite time.
I'll wait.
The way you would want to solve this, and it's not an easy problem to solve, because I was a kid and you were a kid and we were all kids, and the Surgeon General's notification on the cigarette packs have been there since, I think, 61 or something like that. And kids just ignore it. They all knew it. The kids who smoked in my school knew it. They all did it anyway. They all know the drugs are bad. They did it anyway. Heroin doesn't come with a warning. They do it anyway. You really think the kids don't know? Underage drinking on my block, very pervasive. Police came. I let them know. I remember they threw a bunch of alcoholic beverages under my car to get rid of it before the police came. I give it to the police. You want to do something about it? They don't want to do anything about it. So if you really want to solve this problem, it has to be a comprehensive thing where the police, instead of just escorting them out of the park, go back. I don't know if they exist anymore. Have them establish like a JD card where they're going to have to spend some community service or something if they get caught doing this, that they get some sort of thing on their record, and in order to eradicate that thing from their record, have them do something, go to some sort of seminars that teach about the dangers of it. But to just do this, to put the sign up, to catch them in the act, and then to do nothing, which is what they do. And I don't want to mention the guy's name because he doesn't want to, but the parks employee told me about this. He told me he called the police over half a dozen times, caught them dealing, and all the police does is let them off. So if you want to solve the problem, you work with Nassau County, you work with New York State, you establish a law that really means something, not just putting signs up so you could put this on your campaign literature, because it's going to do nothing. I'll tell you that right now. It's a nice idea, it sounds good, but it's going to do nothing.
Felix, Councilman Diaz-Esposito and I,
Can I just
let me just address the enforcement part of it.
He's just hit something that we talked about earlier today, and I set up a meeting with the Commissioner of Police for Wednesday morning. Public Safety had issued to us the exact things that you're saying, that they don't have the ability to enforce it. But there's sector cars in the area, and if they call immediately, if a mom's sitting there with a kid on a swing or a seesaw or whatever, and there's teenagers coming, they sit on the bench, they start lighting up, they can call either our public safety, because we're going to post the number of the sign, or 911, and we're going to have the Commissioner of Police instruct the rank and file that it's something like this, they've got to get there right away. Write up the appearance ticket. There's a $250 fine. I think it goes up to $500, and then $1,000 if you're caught with it. We're trying to now put the fines on the bottom of the signs. You know, when you go into a handicap parking, you say, I'm only going to be 2 minutes, and you run in and get your stuff and come out. Well, when they posted the fine on the bottom of those handicap signs, the people said, it's only going to take $500? I'm not going to park here. And they parked elsewhere. So that's the same frame of mind we're trying to do with putting the fines on those signs, so the parents or whoever's going to smoke it, one, sees how serious it is, and two, when the police do arrive, they don't escort them out. They write either an appearance ticket or they write the ticket with the fine on it, and that's a meeting Wednesday morning, 11 o'clock, with our Nassau County Commissioner of Police to discuss the proper enforcement of it. That was brought up at our meeting. Some of the people are here right now that were at that meeting and voiced that same exact opinion, and we addressed it immediately. Well, by Wednesday, we'll hopefully have it, the attention poured to it, and hopefully resolved. Thank you for bringing it up, though, because that's exactly what the people on my committee
These
said.
pictures were taken yesterday.
Well, you know what? You want to give that to me? I'll bring it with me to the commissioner.
I could take the same picture at every track practice, and it's the same thing at Averill Park. It's the same thing. My daughter's bike got stolen at Averill Park. I got the DVDs for the video. They don't watch most of the park. They don't have cameras there at all. So I just got picked up the DVDs again because the bike got stolen 2 months after my daughter's bike got stolen. I bet you $1 million. I don't have time to look at it, but I bet you they didn't add a camera so they watched the bike rack. My daughter made a mistake, a big mistake. She started talking to her friends and forgot to lock her bike. But the guy whose bike got stolen at the end of August had the lock cut right off, and the lock was left there. So they're not doing the enforcement of anything, because even when you report it, and this, like I said, this park employee says he's called the police a half a dozen times, and still they haven't put the cameras around the park. And this is over many years, he's telling me. I'm having a conversation with him Sunday night, and I never met him before in my life. And he's telling me that all this stuff that has happened, he told me so many instances here. We're like a half an hour while my daughter's working out. He's talking to me about all this stuff that's going on, and he's basically thrown up his hands because you guys have done nothing. The town board has done nothing. The town has done nothing over the years. Now suddenly you want to do something, and I want to see it to be something, and because I'm really tired of this what I call grandstanding with these signs and stuff, and making these things that don't do anything, and everybody knows they're not going to do anything, and you just like, it's a nice public relations thing just to put this stuff up. I want to see you do something. Let's see the cameras go up. Let's see the cameras go up. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Felix. Corinne Alba.
Hi, good morning. Corinne Alba, 152 Center Lane, Levittown. I'm here today to represent Yes Community Counseling Center, as well as the Levittown Community Action Coalition, all of who are behind me over here. We have a couple members that are here today. Our mission in both our agency and the coalition is really about the prevention of substance use. So it's really about bringing education and awareness to the community and to our youth about the dangers of substance use. So we're here today, and we thank Councilman Dunn for inviting us here today in support of this legislation, because we are about the education and awareness to this issue. What I can tell you as an addiction professional is that there's not a lot of research on vaping, but what we do know is there's nicotine in it, like Councilman Dunn said. Nicotine we know is addictive. We know it's a gateway. We know that the apparatuses and the companies that are selling the vaping equipment or apparatuses are gearing it towards kids. It's appealing towards our youth. It comes in flavors. It's easy to hide. We know in the work we do through the coalition and our agency in working so closely with school districts in the town of Hempstead is that the suspension rates for vaping in apparatuses such as the Juul, which is very easy to hide, are tremendous. The numbers are very high, talking 30 to 40 kids sometimes a month with out-of-school suspensions. What we also know is it impacts brain development. So any substance use before the age of 25, when the brain is fully developed, is going to impact their development emotionally, cognitively. So we know this is a gateway. We also know that what we're seeing now, and some national studies came out, that kids they're using earlier and earlier now. So you have about 12% of 8th graders who are reporting in the past 30 days using our vaping, 8th graders. 1 in every 3 12th graders across the nation are reporting vaping in the past 30 days. Personally, what we could say is, like, the kids that come through our door at Yes and the kids that are involved in our coalition will tell us, some of them, that they are addicted, that they do get addicted. They get addicted like we do as adults to nicotine. So sometimes, yes, it's social and they're smoking and they're having contests about the smoking, but then there's some kids that are using alone in the bathroom in between classes because they're addicted to the nicotine. So the education, again, is so important. It's so easy to get, and this is the kids telling us. It's so easy. They can name the stores that they get it in, how they get it. They can name what street it's on, and the kids are honest about this as young as 7th and 8th grade. So this is why, again, it's so important. I mean, we're all about keeping our kids safe. And if we know we're in this big opiate epidemic now, we know we're putting out the fires for that, and we're doing so much work in that, but the prevention is key, and it does start with nicotine and marijuana and underage drinking. So this is a start in the right direction, just to get the message out there and to educate all of our community members in the town of Hempstead. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. If I can just amplify or supplement what you had to say and what Councilman Dunn had to say. I've talked to a lot of people about this, a lot of parents, a lot of kids. They have no idea that there is any detrimental health effects from this. the parents are clueless. So anything that we can do to notify the public that this is a public health concern, I think is important. So I want to congratulate Councilman Dunn for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all the good work that you do in your community to raise awareness and to try to help our youth. I thank you, Councilman Dunn, for bringing this legislation forward. As the mother of 4 children, I know that this is something that I'm constantly working to really make my children understand the seriousness and the dangers associated with vaping. So I think this is a great measure. Thank you, Councilman Dunn, for putting it forward.
Thank Corrine Alba from the Yes for coming down and testifying. She brought with her Beth Dalton, who's been in the Kiwanis and the Chamber of Commerce, and she's practically the queen of Levittown. She's in all the organizations of Levittown. Thank you, Beth. Mike Nelson, who's the president of the Levittown Island Trees Youth Council. Over 1,400 children participate in the sports in Levittown, and he's helping us get the word out to the parents, the coaches, via text message or email, whatever it is that, technology that you use. And we also have a mom from Levittown Schools that she shows up for everything, and she's just a breath of fresh air because she is a mom. She's the one that hears from her kids coming home from MacArthur High School. And there is a school, and it's on MacArthur, in my district that we just said it again this week, that the class of 2010, 12 kids died of overdose of drugs out of the class of 2010 from one school, one small school. It's so dangerous, and this gateway to drugs is not helpful. And I'll tell you how serious it is. There's a school on the South Shore, and it's not in my district, that put up the vape detectors in the bathrooms. And you guys heard this, so it's not new to you, but they put up the detectors in the bathroom. The school district was real proud of it. And the first day of school, they went over at the end of school and to check it out, and they go into the bathroom, and every one of the vape detectors were torn off the wall and thrown in the toilets because that nicotine addiction is sketchy, and you got to have that nicotine. And those people that smoke, you know how tough it is to stop smoking. Well, this is much more powerful nicotine. So it is a problem, and we are addressing it. And I've taken way too much time, but I think it's worth the time because it's such a serious epidemic. Anybody else want to speak?
We have Fatima Ali Khan. Oh, okay, thank you.
Jane Finkelstein, 848 Mayor Drive, Wantar. I'd like to thank the town and Councilman Dunn for putting this hopefully putting this through. I can tell you as a concerned parent for many years in my community that this has become a very, very serious issue. And we need to continue to educate. I joined this coalition, and I cannot tell you how much I've learned. And it is our duty and responsibility as community members and as parents to save any children we can from the dangers of addiction and vaping. And I could tell you this from what I know from speaking to so many people in my community, because I talk a lot, that not only is there nicotine in these vapes, but there's THC. And it is starting younger and younger. So we need to continue to educate because knowledge is power. And this is a great start. And I thank you, and I hope we continue to do work together.
Thanks so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have any other slips. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard on this item?
Rita J. Merritt, Baldwin resident. Overall, I am always in support of anything that's going to further educate and generate awareness. But structurally, I would have to agree with Mr. Ricacci with regard to the signage not necessarily being enough. Because if you go by some of the parks that and locations that young people do congregate, where we do not have enough resources, whether it's public safety or police officers, the sign, it's oblivious to them. I mean, you can drive by Coast Neck Park today. There's like 15 signs on the gate. I would hazard to guess how many people actually read all those signs. We have a problem often of people copping the fence or, cutting the wires to get into the fence towards the rear of the park to go in there to, vape and drink and do all various and sundry things. We have a problem with zombie homes, which have become a a breeding ground and meeting place for people to do various and sundry things. And all of a sudden, we just want to keep putting it on our police department. Our police officers do a yeoman's job with the resources that they have, particularly where we have the 1st precinct. We have police officers that are covering for street crossing duty because we don't have still enough crossing guards to help protect our children. So where's the signage, where's the outreach, where's the promotion for that? We need to increase the support services on our school campuses for places for our young people, things for our young people to do in this township so they can be active and involved. You know, again, we're stretching our limited resources and we're not building up the types of support systems. Hey, here's a thought. You know, we have veterans out here who need something to do, to be involved, to be encouraged, and to encourage others. Why don't we have some program in place to get them involved, to set up groups and counseling and interactive things with our young people?
Do you think it would be helpful if the town investigated whether or not we should put somebody to work on issues related to counseling, not only for veterans, but for citizens, young people who may have substance abuse issues that need referral to the proper agencies? Because it seems to me that a lot of people who have these issues, and I'm sure a lot of them are veterans, they don't know where to go to get pointed in the right direction for treatment, and maybe we could do more in that regard.
Yes, I think we need to focus more on the preventative and the educational aspects as opposed to, you know, oh my goodness, now we have an epidemic. I mean, an epidemic does not just happen overnight. It evolves. You have to deal with the situation where you firstly got to deal with the denial. We know where the epicenter is as far as the opioid crisis. We know that. But I've attended the sessions with the police commissioner and with our officers, you know, and veteran organizations where you're talking to families and you're asking them, you know, in the Levittowns, in the Massapequas, and you're like, okay, who here, to ask the question, who here has a problem with drugs in their household? And 3 people raised their hand and it was 500 people in the room at police headquarters, you know, where you had to have parents who lost their relatives that stood up and said, I could point out people in this room where there's a known problem. But you don't want to shame people into coming forward. This is a sensitive issue. But if we had more peer counseling, in the substance abuse arena, peer counseling, peer support groups have the greatest amount of success. But you have to start it somewhere, you know. And again, we really have to start looking at, you know, ways to not necessarily bring in our police officers until it's absolutely necessary, because they're already strained at the bit. We have to be sensitive to that.
I think we do that already, though. I mean, the members of this board have helped me over the last year and a half to host over 2,000 people at opioid overdose training classes, where we go over how to distribute Narcan, and we give them Narcan. We go over how to identify an overdose, how to save someone with Narcan, and then we go through how to keep your home safe, make sure that there's opioids not readily available to young people. And we also stress, one of the biggest parts of the class is stressing the fact that if people need help and if someone is in an overdose situation, one of the most important things is to make sure that they are transported to a hospital so that they get that necessary help, and we provide them with organizations throughout the township who can give them that help. And I don't hold these classes. There's some classes I have that have 10 people. There's some classes that have 150 people. And I don't ask people, do you have a drug problem in your home? I think people are smart enough to make that decision that if they see the opportunity and the resources available to help themselves, their family, their friends, or their loved ones, and they're taking the initiative. Tonight, I'll be in Salisbury with Councilman Ambrosino. If there's people that are taking their Thursday night to sit in a room and listen to me for an hour, chances are that they're doing it because they need it. So I think to say that the town of Hempstead isn't doing their part, maybe we're not doing everything that we can, but I think that we are by far and above, light years ahead of other townships in the work that we're doing with the opioid issue, with the vaping issue. I mean, to say that signs aren't going to solve the issue, does that mean we take down all the stop signs in the town of Hempstead because people every day blow through stop signs? It's not, it's a terrible argument because the signs do create conversation. And you know what? Maybe the parents, this meeting right here will create conversation. Hopefully there'll be some reporting about it, and you know what? Maybe people will be at home at the kitchen table discussing about vaping, discussing the concerns, discussing really what the issues are and how bad it could affect you. And I think those are all steps in the right direction. So I think that there are a lot of things that the town of Hempstead is doing. Maybe it's not everything that we all want, but like I said, I would put the work that we're doing with opioids, I would put the work that we're doing with vaping up against pretty much any township, at least I know of, in the state of New York, and I think that we'd be by far and above light years ahead of them.
Well, we can agree to disagree, and again, you kind of put words in my mouth that I didn't say, but I will keep it moving as it pertains to the
Yes,
issue.
what you did say. You said
Hold on,
that,
we need to have order
Massapequa
here.
and Levittown do have a problem, but we have a YES organization. Karina just spoke to us. She's in charge of one of the major departments in that YES organization, and not only does she help, they asked for a $50,000 grant from the town of Hempstead, and we're working on trying to get maybe more than that because it's an epidemic now. So we need to get more than that kind of a grant for the YES. And here's what YES does. Not only do they help the people walking through the door, just walk-ins, but they're with the schools. And I just found this out this week, that the schools, they have, if you're caught vaping in school, you get an in-school suspension of 5 days. Now, if you go to one of their programs that YES has, they're helping the schools with this, then your 5-day suspension gets cut down by 1 or 2 days. It makes them, it forces them to listen and learn and get educated. So not only are we doing what we have to do, but thank you, YES organization. We're going to try, I know I'm speaking out of turn here, but we're going to try to get you some grant money to continue to do what we're doing. I'm sorry.
Senior Councilwoman, you
Senior
can be
Council?
heard now.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to Councilman Diaz-Esposito. I attended his class as well as all of my staff and others in the community. So we had the kits ourselves, and we're able to distribute them because of the fact that you trained us. So thank you, and I know there are others in addition in this town who have also learned. We had it open to the public. It was on the website. If you didn't take advantage of it, I'm sorry, but we did do it here, right here in this pavilion.
Again, back to my actual point with regard to the signs. As I said, I do agree with Mr. Procacci with regard to the effectiveness. I appreciate Councilman Blakeman's points about doing something in addition to what is already being done. I strongly believe that counseling, as well as peer support, community involvement, parents, as you mentioned yourself, Supervisor Gillen, with 4 children, it really does start at the home. And growing up in a household where I've been a part of the whole social work, substance abuse, and quite familiar with YES. You know, my mother was one of the orchestrators of the Stop DWI program for Nassau County. She worked with the prison system. We had people who had substance abuse issues in my home. So I have a direct relationship to believing in people and giving back and reaching out and doing what's necessary. So I'm just saying we need to broaden the scope, provide the resources, and again, use the untapped and underserved resources that are right in our face, considering that Long Island has the largest veteran population in the Northeast region, to better serve our young people as well as our veterans. Thank you.
I do not have any other slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Belmore, Elmont, Franklin Square, Inwood, Roosevelt, West Hempstead, and Woodmere.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and that the item be adopted.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Oh, Councilman Dunn. Okay. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed public parking fields maps in Levittown.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed parking map be adopted.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Application of Shady Point LLC Special Exception Public Garage to permit an operation of an automobile repair shop and automobile body repair in addition to the installation of a spray booth for painting of automobiles in West Hempstead. I have a companion application of Shady Point LLC for a revocation of a declaration of restrictive covenants dated December 20th, 1995, affecting real property located at 160 Cherry Valley Avenue in West Hempstead.
Morning, members of the board. Appearing for the applicant, Howard Avertine, 575 Underhill Boulevard, Syosset. This is the application of Shady Point LLC for a special exception to permit operation of an automobile repair shop and automobile body repair shop, as well as to revoke a declaration of restrictive covenants with respect to premises in West Hempstead. The property under application is located at the northeast corner of Hamilton Avenue and Cherry Valley Avenue in West Hempstead. The property has a street address of 160 Cherry Valley Avenue. It is also known as Section 33, Block 535, Lot 54 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. The premises has a lot area of 9,246.07 square feet, slightly less than 1/4 of an acre. The premises under application is developed with a one-story brick and block building utilized as an automobile repair shop and automobile body repair shop. The premises has been utilized for automotive repairs since approximately 1953, at which time it also sold gasoline. By resolution number 930-1995, under case number 25041, adopted on September 19, 1995, this board approved the application of CVR Realty Corp. For a special exception to maintain and legalize an existing automotive repair shop, as well as storage of new automobiles and new and used taxi cabs, as well as to allow parking in the front yard setback at the corner of Hamilton Avenue on the easterly side of Cherry Valley Avenue. By resolution number 387-1996, under case number 25041, this board approved the application of CVR Realty Corp. To extend the time to secure building permits as authorized by the previously mentioned resolution number 930-1995. The building permits and certificate of occupancy number 9601911 were thereafter issued. In addition, by resolution number 1023-1995, under case number 25041, adopted on September 19, 1995, this board accepted a declaration of restrictive covenants incidental to and in connection with the granting of the aforesaid special exception approval. That resolution, along with the declaration of restrictive covenants, was recorded in the Nassau County Clerk's office in Liber 10618 at page 833. Further, by notice of decision dated April 11, 1996, and decision dated March 13, 1996, under case number 80, the Board of Appeals of the Town of Hempstead granted variances for off-street parking and permission to park in the front yard setback, as well as insufficient backup space in connection with the automotive repair shop use. Petitioner now seeks approval from this board authorizing automobile body repairs in addition to general automotive repairs at the premises, as well as installation of a spray booth for painting of automobiles in connection with the auto body work. And that's all in accordance with the site plans and plans which are on file with the town board. The applicant also seeks approval of its application for revocation of the previously mentioned declaration of restrictive covenants in conjunction with the application seeking the special exception to permit the automobile body repair shop in addition to the existing and approved general automobile repair shop. Applications will also be filed, if required, at the Board of Appeals for any variances which may be required in connection with the application. In the event the application is approved, the premises will be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan and plans prepared by Anthony S. D. Properzio, and those are the plans that are before the board today. In addition, the previously recorded declaration of restrictive covenants will be inappropriate for the subject premises in the event the application is approved, and we anticipate that in the event the application is approved, the board will require execution and recording of a new declaration of restrictive covenants in accordance with the approval. So we would respectfully request that in the event the applications are approved this morning, that the prior set of restrictive covenants be annulled, and it would be substituted with a new document which this board will require in that event. The granting of this application will provide for the continued use of the premises for very similar use to which the property has been put for many years. The sole change is to obtain approval of automotive body repair work in addition to the existing automobile repair shop. The proposed use for this property is compatible with nearby uses, both residential as well as commercial, and we believe the granting of this application will have no adverse effect upon the subject property or the surrounding areas. I do have some panels of photos for those members of the board who may not be familiar with the property and the surrounding area. And these photos I took last week, and they do accurately depict the subject premises and both the surrounding residential community as well as the surrounding business properties. A review of the radius map will reveal that there are numerous businesses on Cherry Valley Avenue within 200 feet of the premises, including machine shops, a marble and granite company, a health club, a heating and plumbing business, as well as an existing auto body shop at 140 Cherry Valley Avenue. The premises has approximately 6 employees. The hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and the operation will fully comply with all town, county, and state requirements. In fact, we would just advise verbally that the applicant obtained approval of its spray booth plans, which were filed with the Nassau County Fire Marshal's office. The principal of Shady Point LLC, Lawrence Blessinger, is here with me this morning in case the board has any questions of Mr. Blessinger, and of course I will field any questions that the board has to me as well. And that completes our application.
Counselor.
Yes, sir. The inspection it's done, already done. I will take it out. bear with me a moment, please. Yes, sir. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, just one quick question. I don't see an American flag anywhere flying on this. Are we going to make sure that we do our patriotic duty and put an American flag? Do it tomorrow? God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and we reserve decision.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Supervisor, there are 2 items on the decision calendar. The first is the application of 2765 Broadway Realty LLC and 200 Belmore Avenue Realty LLC for special exception public garage to permit a conversion of the existing public garage auto repair facility into a public garage auto repair facility and an auto body and paint repair facility in Belmore, southwest corner of Belmore and Grand Avenues. There's a second, you want me to call that at the same time? Okay. There's a companion decision, the application of 2765 Broadway Realty LLC and 2200 Belmore Avenue Realty LLC for a modification of declaration of restrictive covenants in the southwest corner of Belmore and Grand Avenues.
May I have a motion?
I move those decisions, and I would like to make sure that they are adopted.
Yes, I would second Councilwoman Gooseby's motion to adopt the 2 items together, 13 and 14.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. Madam Clerk, will you please call the administrative calendar?
Yes, Supervisor and members of the council, on the administrative calendar this morning, there are items 15 through 57. I also have a resolution that is of an urgent or emergency nature. This is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to transfer funds from various appropriations and appropriated fund balances to other various appropriations. This will be item number 58 on the calendar.
Would any of the council members like to sever any of the items?
Okay. I move to amend item 45 to change the amount to $125,000, to amend item number 46 to $125,000, and to amend item number 47 to $60,000. This will be second. This will be, who's going to second it?
Second.
You second it? Okay. We call the roll.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Pasito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. May I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
But before we move forward, Supervisor, can I just ask a question of the Comptroller's Office on item 36?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Longobardi, Deputy Controller.
Good morning, Mr. Longobardi. I'm just have a couple questions. Obviously, our caucus met this morning. Can you just explain briefly what ClearGov is and what it's going to be doing for the department?
The way I understand ClearGov will provide a dashboard-like item that would be on maybe our website or other places to provide financial data.
Okay. Okay. Now,
Be accessible by the public.
the discussion that we had this morning, we currently have the enterprise system Oracle, right? Now, are we capable of providing the same information through Oracle as we would through this new, I guess, is it software?
This software, the ERP system, the new enterprise system that we would have, would provide the data for this system. Right now, the way it's configured, we would not actually have, it would be an enhancement to what we would have going forward, okay? This system here would provide again, this is more of a viewing system, this ClearGov.
Okay.
The financial data that would go into this, what we would currently do probably would take spreadsheets and information, put it all together to put it on here. Under the new ERP system, the data that we would have would provide the new ERP system would provide that data in a way that is much easier accessible, for lack of a better term.
The ERP system that we currently have would.
No, the ERP system we're putting in.
That won't be ready until 2020, is that correct? Yes, thank you.
That system would provide data for us in a much easier access than we would have to do right now. But the data that we would get out of the system probably would be done with the press of a button, whereas versus today we would have to put together some information. But the actual two systems, one is more of a viewing system, the other is a system that actually does all of our financials.
Okay, and they are compatible, they work together?
They would be compatible, yes.
Okay, and there's not like a duplication of service in there anywhere?
What I would say to you is there wouldn't be so much of a duplication of service because it would be how we get the data. Right now, getting the data would be much more manually intensive, meaning we would need manpower, things like that to get the data. Okay. Whereas going forward, it would be a lot easier and much more accessible because it would be all part of the system. So.
Okay.
Mr. Longobardi, we don't have something in place right now that can present the budget data in a clear way to residents in the same manner that ClearGov would. Do we have something in place right now?
In place right now, no.
No. And so we wouldn't have that capability. Any capabilities that we will have in association with the ERP system that we're putting in place, those are not likely to be available for our use until January 2020.
Somewhere in the last 6 months, yeah, somewhere by January 2020.
Right.
Again, to get the.
Thank you. And is it fair to say that, ClearGov is an inexpensive government transparency and benchmarking software that will present our town budget in a format to residents in a very clear and easy to understand format. It will help residents understand how their tax dollars are being spent. I don't know if anybody here has ever tried to read the budget, but it's really not decipherable. ClearGov is a software program that we can use. It's very inexpensive that will take the budget that we passed this year and put it in a very easy to understand format for residents to let them better understand how their taxpayer dollars are being spent and can compare expenditures to peer communities as well. The goal for ClearGov is to help the town operate and communicate more efficiently and more effectively with our taxpayers by providing them with unique fiscal insight through a financial transparency and benchmarking platform. Just so everybody knows that this contract and this service was presented to a bipartisan review committee that included a representative from my office, Gordon Fox from purchasing, and Alex Vasallo representing the town board majority. And everyone in that group agreed that ClearGov was the clear, low-cost choice to provide the town of Hempstead with transparency and benchmarking tools it needs to present our budget to the community. It is a great thing, and we should be in favor of this.
Thank you, Mr. Longobardi. Yeah, with that being said, on to another item. I just moved to table 37 and 48.
Second.
Okay, may I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
Motion.
Oh, you need, motion, you have a motion to table.
Sorry, may I have a motion to table?
I make the motion.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Ambrosino.
And just to clarify, that's a motion to table and postpone indefinitely.
Councilman Blake.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
I vote no. Item 48 is an item that contemplates a rescue that might take dogs that are have severe behavioral issues. I do not think this should be tabled indefinitely. If there's some issues that we need to resolve, I think we can table it, but not indefinitely. I think it would provide a valuable resource for our animal shelter. Now may I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
37 is, okay, 37.
With the exception of 37.
Well, with the exception of 37 and 48.
Right.
Okay?
Second.
Yeah. And adding number 58. Including 58. So that's it.
Here's where you are. This is where you're supposed to be.
Okay. Got it. So 36 is, if we're going to pass.
Okay, Felix Procacci.
That's it.
Felix Procacci, 1165 Bond Street, Franklin Square, New York. With regards to number 36, you know, it's hard for me to say that I'm against this, but it's not that I'm against what it's trying to do, but I'm against it for the reason that you could give people a lot of data. Newsday publishes the salaries and names of every municipality, every school district, every water district, and so on. And giving people that amount of information is essentially a waste of time because there's no way to digest that information. Without a transparency system, I've discovered numerous violations, numerous anomalies, that my park district does not have a budget, that the town board unanimously passed a windows in restaurant law to put a business out of business, passed a free air law that violates New York state laws, appointed a building commissioner that was not qualified for the job, voted for an illegal moratorium violating New York state case law, voted to open up a union contract that gave lifetime employment asking nothing in return, violated town law by not putting all financial disclosures online.
Mr. Procacci, we're talking about ClearGov.
I understand that, but the thing is, the point is, going on and on with all the violations, at the end of the day, these things that I'm mentioning cost the town money. Making the correlations between what you're trying to present financially, all these things I mentioned cost the town money. There's no correlation. All you're doing is giving people a ton of information to look at numbers, and numbers will not do anything to help people understand it. I offered last year to be the transparency outlet, and I beat ClearGov. I offered $0 to Supervisor Santino to put all transparency, real transparency, things that will really tell people how their government operates, what they really feel about things, things that we really don't want to know, like we table things indefinitely so we avoid the discussion. That's what people have to know. Knowing a bunch of numbers will give people no clearer insight as to how their government works. And that's why I'm for the idea but against doing it this way, because we have a board that, let's face it, doesn't want transparency. They want the appearance of transparency. That's what they want. And that's why I don't see this as being beneficial. And let me go on to other administrative items. The Frederick P. Clark Associates, once again, that's an illegal resolution. That was never noticed properly when it was, I think it was August 7th or whatever it was, when it was first brought up. That contract was never presented to the public prior to the hearing in violation of the law. I think it actually was the July meeting, I think. It was, and I brought that up, and everybody ignored it, and the law was violated, and we went ahead with it, even though it's supporting an illegal moratorium, which is going to cost us a lot of money in legal fees. And how are you going to see that in ClearGov, just to make the connection? You will not see it. Then the calling of the public hearing for the gasoline service station thing, the free air law. Once again, that's an illegal law. And that it's going to cost taxpayer money also.
It was in two different parts of the code, so this is just to make sure we got it in the other part of the code. That's what the free air law.
It doesn't matter. Well, whatever it is, the law, it preempts state law. There was an injunction which it's not a ruling, a final decision, but that's a very strong indication that you're doing something wrong. And what Beckman-Hennig proposed doing, and this is not going to show up in ClearGov either, is to depose everybody, which would cost tens of thousands of dollars, as if questions of law should be decided on people's opinions and what happened. Questions of law should be discussed as what the law says, and that was never discussed here ever, and that will not show up in ClearGov. This is all these things. And once again, I'm running out of time, but various positions, the personnel decisions, I foiled the resignations and terminations. I still haven't gotten, no records found. I haven't gotten a response to my FOIL request yet. Once again, these are things that this will give insight into what the government's doing, yet we don't want to publicize this. If you want transparency, I will offer it for free. And I've done a freaking good job. I had 53,000 minutes watched on my channel last month. How many minutes does the town of Hempstead have watched in 1 month? Okay? And I have a $0 advertising budget. Okay? I could do better.
Thank you, Felix. I think that presenting the information, giving information to residents is always a good thing.
Don't say why the money's being spent. It's useless information.
Mita Meriday?
All right, Mita J. Meriday, let's get this started. Number 17, I do have the information, and I do thank those from the representatives from the building department giving me the information about the locations in Baldwin. Still have questions regarding to the contracting process within the town in terms of expanding the outreach to provide assistance for and opportunities for our veterans or our struggling minority women and veteran-owned businesses. And I know that the legislation and the procurement language, all that is in the works, and these things take time and one step at a time, and all that good stuff. But when I read about the numbers and the information that pertains to New York State being the second largest in homelessness in the country, we're basically the cold reality sandwiched between the first state, which is Hawaii, and the third state, California. My concern speaks to the fact that Long Island, again, has the largest veteran population, and the town of Hempstead has the largest veteran population in Nassau County. So these types of things are important to me and hopefully should be important to others. When I see the number of contracts for services relating to our animals, the veterinary support services, there are a number of contracts on this particular agenda that provides resources for that, but I see zero, and again, zero, zilch, nil, nothing that speaks to providing any types of services, supports, or resources for our veterans. Nothing mobile, nothing rescue, nothing recovery, zero. That's a concern for me as we're going into budgeting yet again. Item 21, this resolution, proposal to provide passage, what is that? What is this cost? What is it for?
So this is a 3-year contract. It's the cost is $4,896. It's a support plan for our public safety management, visitor management system. It's a sole source provider.
So visitors, as in visitors to the township, visitors to the building, what exactly?
Visitors to the building, it's visitors who come in and visit our building.
Okay. 23, again, what is it? Why is that authorizing payment of the license extension, maintenance, and support services? Again, what is that? Do we have an existing contract with them? Has that contract been satisfied? Again, you're talking about budget, you're talking about that item 36, when you're talking about this is supposed to give benchmarking and transparency. We have elected officials who campaigned on the promise that they were going to be our voice and they were going to provide us with transparency.
So I can tell you what 23 is. Okay. 23 is a management system that we use in our HR. Eventually, this function will be taken over by the ERP system that we've been discussing earlier. However, that system will probably not be fully functional until around January 2020. This company is the one that maintains that software right now. We need them because we don't have that. As I said, the new system will not be ready until around January 2020. So they are insisting that we agree that we will keep them on board until then, so that we can have a continuity in operations until our new system gets in place. So that's what this is about.
Okay, so does this mean we're kind of being held hostage by a vendor that we're paying?
Well, I mean, they're providing us with a valuable resource that maintains some of our human resources applications, and we need them. We need that in order to maintain our system until we put in a new system. So we want to keep them on board because they've been providing us with this service all along, and we want to make sure that there's no interruption, so there's a smooth transition when the ERP system is fully functional.
Okay. Item 28, 29, 30, 31 pretty much again speaks to just asking questions as far as these major authorizations and serial bonds and what companies, where's the diversity and inclusion with those companies. And yes, that is an issue that I'm going to continue to bring up because I can't see where the town of Hempstead in this scenario would be able to match up successfully or at the top of the level in terms of diversity and inclusion, in case someone wanted to bring up that issue that, the town of Hempstead could be matched up against others in terms of their diversity and inclusion, because the track record here is not acceptable at all. I already brought up my point about item 36. 37 was tabled. 38, I believe someone else will discuss that one in more detail. 39, why? Authorizing retention of consulting services. Do we not have someone who's in charge of the Parks Department? Do they not have a staff? I mean, we seem to be providing consultants for staff people, for workers, and it's on the backs of taxpayers who are losing their homes or getting a larger number of zombie homes in their neighborhood. So I really need 38. No, not 30, I'm sorry, 39. Is there an answer about 38? Oh, hi.
About 39.
How you doing?
These are for various locations like Anchor, Spray Pad, the bathrooms, the ADA compliant bathrooms in Anchor, Anchor Playground, that this company is going to be helping us out with engineering reports. With that being said, also we're doing jobs in evaluating in Wall and Lido Beach, where we need a specialist. One of our parks staff doesn't have the capability to give us the engineering report that this would require.
Okay, so we don't have the qualifications on staff, so this is kind of outsourcing.
Yes.
Okay, and how was this outsourced? I mean, was this advertised, or what was the process that generated this particular consultant?
This consultant has done work for us in the past. We have a contract with this consultant already, and we're just asking to replenish some of the funds so we could use this consultant once again.
So, Ms. Meriday, the town had certain consultants already under contract when we started this new term and this new year. We have changed the RFP process for consultants. That was something that we passed a couple months ago, so that going forward, we will have a more competitive process for consultants, and we will have a list of qualified consultants starting in January that will go through an RFP process. That's something new that's going to happen going forward.
Okay, so you're saying at some point we're going to actually be in compliance and have a focus on diversity and inclusion.
we're going to have a more open and competitive process for consulting services.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so 40, again, authorize agreement to perform planning, environmental, and traffic studies. How many more traffic studies do we need to have? Is there a way, I mean, I know in Nassau County, there's a town and county committee that never has anything listed on their agenda when they meet. It's really just wasting paper. But how many more traffic studies do we have when we have, you know, bad roads, potholes, and dangerous situations?
For this one, what we're just doing is clarifying that the agreement is not to exceed a total cost of $95,000. That was not in the prior agreement.
Yeah, and can I just,
Sorry, $95,500.
yeah, can I just discuss that for 1 second? I'm not sure we're going to spend any money yet. Basically, this was generated primarily to look at the issues with respect to golf courses that had bought coastal areas or wetlands, and whether a change of use from golf course to something else, including a park district, would have an impact. Councilman D'Esposito and I have not agreed yet that that should go forward until an analysis is done on the potential acquisition cost of any particular golf course if we decided to move into a park district. Am I right, Councilman, on that one? So we don't even know if we're going to spend any money on that, but they're teed up in case the cost of acquisition for a park district is something that we decide to move forward later in the agenda, that we have somebody teed up that would be ready to go right in and do the analysis that's necessary to create a park district. But again, that's speculative until the acquisition costs are determined.
Okay, so this is basically going to earmark $95,000, and we can't seem to get maybe $50,000 to do true research to determine what programs and services our veterans need in the township. Just saying, because she said it was $95,000.
I wouldn't tie the two of them together. I think they're independent issues, and I think that basically we are going to discuss in the upcoming budget exactly the issues that you have brought forward, because they are valid issues and they're important issues. So in this budget process, I think that, you know, we will be addressing the very things that you brought up.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, lastly, 41 and 42. Again, for 41, why the increase? And 42, what is the deal with just Malloy? I mean, residents, we are not able to get like a discount at any of the colleges, so I'm just curious.
Malloy College offered us this benefit, and we think it's a great thing for our workforce, and so we're accepting the benefit.
Okay, and 41? Why the increase?
Oh, this, yes.
Good to see you.
Good morning, Town Board members, Supervisor George Bakich, Commissioner Planning Department. This increase, if you remember at the last Town Board meeting, there was a resolution establishing a new account. I think you questioned it at that time. This is now reflecting that. This is for services that are going to be rendered by VHB in connection to the Baldwin overlay zoning project.
Right.
Okay, the money's in my account. They have a present contract with my department. The CDBG part of that contract had been exhausted and it's been spent. So this will cover their costs till the end of the year. As you know, it's being aggressively.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. So this would be covering their costs to the end of the year.
Right.
Just need to get clarification on that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie Lamb.
Valerie Lamb Baldwin. Actually, my first question was pertaining to all of those bonds that are issued. A lot of money going out in bonds. I was wondering if someone could tell me who our bond counsel is. Do we have more than one, or?
Mr. Raw, can you identify our bond counsel? There are two law firms.
We have two, Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood, and Phillips Lytle.
Okay, thank you. So now I'd like to switch gears to number 48. Councilman Diaz-Bazito, I want to thank you personally for tabling that, putting it on, having the board table that. And I would like to ask, though, because as usual, I'm all about an ounce of prevention. We recently had a dog named Brock at the animal shelter who was unnecessarily euthanized. He was a healthy animal, and he had a rescue lined up willing to take him. So 2 days prior to his scheduled pickup date, someone gave the murder order, which is what I call it, or the kill order, and this dog had a chance. It had a place to go. It had a place to be. It had, according to the shelter, behavior problems. So I'd like to know, and that's unacceptable, by the way, I would like to know what type of due diligence is conducted while selecting a rescue specific to rescuing dogs with behavior problems. And I'd also like to know what on earth would prevent this inhumane and ridiculous decision-making panel or committee to kill more innocent dogs who are healthy and have a rescue group committed.
Item 48 was to authorize us to send more dogs to rescue. So you're saying you're against that and you're glad it was tabled? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You don't? I thought I made it perfectly clear. My concern is that you had a rescue group lined up and ready to take a dog named Brock who was considered aggressive, the same criteria that you're talking about here, okay? So before you get all coiled up and hissing, listen. This dog was murdered. This dog that your staff claimed had aggressive problems. So under this criteria, if the same thing happens again, what's going to prevent your inhumane and incredibly malicious staff from murdering more innocent animals?
So do you support 48 or you don't support 48? I'm not sure. You're supposed to be talking about 48. Are you in favor of these rescues? Are you in favor of this rescue or not? Do you think dogs should go to Road to Home or not?
At a time. I am against this. I'd like to know what kind, my question, which you're supposed to answer as a taxpayer to an elected official, is what type of due diligence was there conducted in terms of selecting this rescue?
Mr. Marino?
That's completely incorrect. They put it on the resolution. They put it, are you?
Okay, all right. Let's let the commissioner explain the selection process.
Good morning, Supervisor, Town Board
Good
members, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. I don't understand the question. Would you please ask the question?
Sure. I wanted to know what type of due diligence is conducted in terms of selecting this rescue. I recognize there was an RFP, okay? That said, there was a term that it said it was duly qualified and meets the needs of the town. Can you tell me what those qualifications are?
I actually didn't prepare this one, but we did when I did last year. This was the only person that responded. Her qualifications were proper. We're in the perfect regard. The state of New York agreed with all of her certificates. She had the proper insurance, and we decided to choose that not-for-profit.
Did they have the same or greater amount of insurance as Diamonds in the Rough, which was the rescue group that was scheduled to save and prevent Brock from being murdered?
That's a separate issue that I wouldn't discuss at this point.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Where is this rescue physically located?
Somewhere in northwest New York State.
Okay, so hours away. And did anyone go there to do a site visit?
Yes, we did. Actually, we had to wait until the facility was updated or done, completed.
And upon that site visit, this facility met, I guess, our standards?
It met what we consider the standards that would be, it's best for a dog that has certain issues and aggression issues to be in an area that's more calmer, in a larger cage per square feet where it's a little easier to train him or her. So we thought that it would be best to
That I
give the dog
agree
a
with.
chance in an
Okay,
environment where
but-
he or she can maybe have their behavior changed.
So who is labeling these dogs as aggressive? Who's evaluating these
Well, actually-
animals?
The dogs are being evaluated by the nest, well, in the end, by the town of Hempstead, but when a dog bites somebody more than once,
They're being evaluated by the staff.
yeah, but I mean, sometimes.
Right, which staff? Not all the staff, right? Not the front desk people. Who is labeling these animals as aggressive?
So can we stick to the administrative calendar? Do you have anything else on item 48 or any other item on the administrative calendar? You can talk about other issues in public comment.
This is germane to item 48. I'm trying to prevent another murder.
Well, item 48 actually has been postponed indefinitely, so it's not even before the board anymore.
Yeah, that's not the point. The point is, you know what I notice? You don't give anyone else a hard time, really, when they're up here and they may have something that's germane and pertinent to the conversation, but I disagree, Felix. Okay, so what I want to know is, with a $4 million budget for an animal shelter, why is it that we can't afford to have the qualified and credentialed professionals that are capable of making these types of improvements with our animals here? Why do we have to outsource it?
Ms. Lamp, may I just interject, Commissioner Supervisor? Item 48 has been tabled and is not on on the calendar. Right now, we're taking public comment on the calendar. We'd be happy to listen to your public comments later on in the meeting.
Okay, Mr. Ra. So then I have, thank you, Mr. Marino. So then I have another question, getting back to the bond council. The first one that you mentioned, Hawkins, Delafield.
Delafield and Wood, yes.
How long have we been working with them?
Off and on for probably the last 20 years.
20 years. Thank you.
Okay, there was an emergency hand up. I believe it's item
58.
58. Is someone from the controller's office here? I have some questions on this hand up.
Good morning, Supervisor. John Grzan, Accountant 2 from the Comptroller's Department.
Thank you so much, Mr. Grzan. I appreciate. Could you just please explain to me, I just got this hand up at 6 o'clock last night. Could you just explain what the general purpose of this hand up is and what it does and what it's proposing?
Sure. This is a resolution that's done every year. It's required by our outside auditors, and it's basically shoring up any need for an appropriated fund balance to make sure that the expenses that are being incurred at the end of the year are available funding to make sure that we hit the expenses.
So to kind of correct when there's been overspending, we have to correct items in the prior budget? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just, there's different areas. As you can see throughout the resolution, there's multiple departments, and we have to make sure that we appropriate fund balance to cover any overages, and unfortunately, this doesn't cover any excess. It just shows the overages in certain areas.
So in all these departments, we had overages, and we now have to,
Line items, correct.
and we now have to move fund balance to address those overages. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, is this the general process that we use in the controller's office, that we just overspend and then we approve it later and not put it before the board as we're overspending? Because I have real concerns about that.
Ask a question, Supervisor. Isn't it true it's just basically GAAP-related accounting?
Correct.
It's not an overage. That's a political categorization that we're overspending. What it is that various lines have to be moved within the department. You're not blowing your budget in the department. You're moving funds around in accordance with GAAP.
Yes,
so the term overage is a political term that's being used to disparage your department. Really, it's a bookkeeping error in compliance.
I'm just trying to understand what's happening, because this is your job.
The correct term. It's not an overage. It's a book entry, correct?
Make one notation that overall we have an excess overall townwide of $16.5 million over the original budget. So there are no overages townwide. We have an excess of $16.5 million.
If I may, Madam Supervisor, Town Board, again, Dominic Longobardi, Deputy Controller, we have certain transfers that we do every year, things like workman's comp and transfers that happen every year. That is part of this. They are not part of the regular budget. They are taken out of certain expenses here as well. So that's part of what this is. So it's not exactly where it's something that isn't planned or thought for. They are transfers that are done out of fund balances and things like that to cover our expenses. So.
Okay, and I do take issue with the councilman's characterization that I'm trying to disparage your department. I'm just trying to understand. I got this at 6 o'clock last night, and I've had no opportunity to understand what's in this document or where these expenditures have come from. And so I'm not trying to politicize it. I'm just trying to understand this document. And I just have a couple more questions. So I see that there's line items for 2016. Do you see that in here?
Line items for 2016?
Yes. Like for like payroll expenses and capital transfers for 2016. I see about $6 million of payroll items from 2016.
On the resolution itself?
Yeah.
Can you cite which item you're looking at in particular?
Aren't the books for 16 closed?
Yes, we asked for details from your office. We asked for details from your office about what some of these expenditures were, and it said there's 2016 separation pay totaling $118,000, 2016 separation pay totaling $391,000, 2016 separation pay. So my question is, why weren't these items addressed in 2016? Why are they being addressed now in 2018? That is concerning to me. That's just my.
No, I understand your question now. There was an accounting change under the current year to change the methodology of the accounting principle of how we accrue the sick and vacation pay, which is the separation pay that you're looking at. Unfortunately, this change took place during 2017. So you're actually seeing separation pay that was paid in 2016 that was done during 2017, and it was not accrued back. And in the current year, under 2017, there's separation pay that was paid in 2018 that has now been accrued back to 2017. So per these financials that you're going to be looking at, there's going to be 2 years worth of separation pay that are hitting in 2017. So that methodology has now been changed going forward.
But then why wasn't 2016 addressed in 2017 when you made this change?
That would require a prior period adjustment. 16's books are closed, and that would require a prior period adjustment. This is a single year financial statement.
Okay. So also $2 million in 2016 capital spending. Why didn't you seek board approval when this capital spending needed to be funded?
The only reason why it was included out of the operating budget in this particular case is there's an 18-month window, and Mr. Rock could probably comment on this. It has to do with what was brought to our attention by our outside bond counsel as far as the ruling to be able to include capital projects within a certain span of time in a current bonding that was done. And these were outside of the confines of that 18-month period.
So does that mean that we didn't seek bonding within the requisite time, so now we have to reallocate the line? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but there was.
No, isn't it more attributable to the local finance law has an 18th-month window that pursuant to the terms of the local finance law, you're not allowed to spend beyond 18 months, and that's why the GASB requires you to be in conformity with the local finance law.
That's correct.
Right, but if we had sought bonding at the time we started these projects, we would have complied with local finance law. Is that right?
No, it's a spending issue. It's not a bonding issue.
It's a timing issue, correct?
But we didn't do what we needed to do in time. Is that correct?
We didn't spend. The project didn't demand spending. You need to draw down within a certain time.
There was also a premium that was recognized during the current bond sale to offset all of these expenditures.
So we're following the law. It's no imputation of negligence on anybody's part, correct?
No, absolutely not.
I'm asking questions. I'm not implying negligence. I just want to make sure that going forward, when we need to do spending, that we do it within the requisite time, so we don't have to go back 2 years later to correct line items.
It's not a correction. We're complying with law. Isn't that correct? And that's a question. Isn't that correct as a question? Is that a question? And your answer is there's no negligence.
The local finance law, correct.
There you go.
So also, there's an item in here for auto relocation,
Yes.
which is about $3 million. And what is that about?
There was about 5 or 6 different departments that did auto mechanic maintenance repair. And that was all consolidated during last year, and it was now under the Department of General Services. There's a vehicle maintenance division that was established, and the consolidation of that has now caused a lot of the issues that you see within this resolution as far as the ins and the outs with salaries and wages and different things that go along the lines with the maintenance and repair of all our vehicles in our fleet.
So now we're reallocating about $3 million for that. Is that correct?
I don't have the specifics as of the total ins and outs and where you would actually see surpluses on the other side of that. This is only showing the transfers in to accommodate what was put into general services.
But was there an offset for that?
Yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, it doesn't encapsulate it in this resolution, but that's something that can be provided at a later time.
Great. I'd like to see that, please.
So, Supervisor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So basically what you're saying is the numbers haven't changed and they don't affect the overall fiscal stability of the town. It's just a reallocation that's pursuant to law regarding accounting principles, and really there's no change in numbers, just they are being put on the correct lines so that they comply with our reporting requirements.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
So there's also a line for the Board of Zoning Appeals for around 92,000. I'd just like you to explain that to me. I don't know what that's relating to.
There's an item for Board of Appeals, I'm sorry. The only thing I see on here is it's within the Part-Town Fund, and there's a couple of transfers from and going into the salaries and wages line. I'm not sure which one you're looking at.
It's characterized as less savings. What is that?
Less savings is a item that shows up on the salary lines to be able to calculate the total salary that's going to be budgeted for in an upcoming year.
I still don't understand what that means. What does less savings mean?
It's just a way, most of the time it's used as a tool to look at a person that may be budgeted out of a different department, and you have to have adjustments between salary adjustments and less savings to facilitate the budget transfers or movement of people within a department within the town.
So is less savings like anticipated retirements, so you're crediting that as you're anticipating retirements in a certain department?
In this particular case, I honestly don't know. I'd have to look at the notes that we have from when we drafted the budget.
But just in general, that less savings term, I've seen it used quite a bit, and I just am trying to understand what it means.
That's exactly how I just explained. That's generally what it's used for.
Is it anticipating that people are going to retire? Is that what it means? They're going to retire, so you're...
That's not what it's used for.
All right, I'm sorry. Could you just explain it one more time to me, please?
Generally, what will happen is, just to use simple numbers, if you have someone who's in general services at $100,000 and they're working out of another department, you use salary adjustment in the department that's going to be receiving the services and salary adjustment in the department that's letting them go.
So my concern just is, now we're in 2018. Are there items that we're gonna have to have line adjustments going forward next year? What are are you seeing any of those trends? Can you identify what they are? Can you let my office know?
There's a lot of line items. I don't have the entire budget memorized.
Well, is that something that we can work together on so you can make me aware of these things? Because I want to not be in a position where we're spending and we overspend and then we have to fix it later. I'd rather have it all come before the board as those issues arise.
From what I've seen so far, I believe that's the practice that's been taking place, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I do not have any other slips on the administrative calendar. Yep.
Yes, Pearl Jacobs, speaking on behalf of the Nostrand Garden Civic Association in Uniondale. I have a question, well, I have a statement regarding item number 36. Speaking on behalf of a community that has been systematically suffered from exclusion and disinvestment, I am in support of the ClearGov transparency data services. I think it's a step in the right direction, especially when it comes to promoting transparency and comparing the expenditures among peer communities. That's very important, speaking on behalf of a community that has suffered from exclusion, as Uniondale has. I have a question regarding item number 38, and my question is, why are the monies coming from the Department of Planning and Economic Development?
It's community development block grant money, and this department, this commissioner in this department handles our grant monies that we receive.
Okay, so it is CDBG funding. Okay, and what would this money be used for?
I believe
In the department itself, she asked for that because they need it for the kids.
I believe it's for youth services, youth programming. Commissioner, do you have any more information on that? Yeah, youth programs.
Okay, I was just wanted to be clear if it was coming from CDBG monies. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I do not have any other slips. Yes?
James B. Jacob, 568 Ash Court. Good morning, Councilwoman Busbeek, Skillen, and the Councilman, please.
Good morning.
Point of clarity, item number 17, for its authorized special assessment, is that the $25,000 they charge on an abandoned home for zombie homes? On item number 17?
Commissioner, can you please explain item 17?
It's a special authorization assessment. Just one point of clarity. Yes. The number is 6542.
I believe this is work that we performed, and then we added to the homeowner's tax rolls. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yeah, because I know a while back you had passed a thing for $25,000 for private resident and $35,000 for commercial, and I just want to make sure that I was applying to these homes that were listed for point of clarity.
Good morning, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. Now, what this resolution is for open and abandoned homes where we had to secure those properties, and then the assessment is put back on those properties for the work that was done.
Okay, so the new owner will have to pay off the assessment when they buy the property, or that's be turned back over to the county first? I mean, like, I was trying to understand the process, because I know when they passed the resolution, they stated the county would charge whoever owned the property at said time the $25,000. And then once they turn over to a new owner, either they have to, I guess, with lack of better word, satisfy the judgment against the property, or some kind of that to be worked out. That's why I wanted a point of clarity.
Yeah, that's not this, no.
Okay, okay, thank you. And on item number 21, authorization about the proposal passage of global of 3 years. All I'm asking that if that's something related to the visitor management system, that we had an issue of something being misnamed East of Hempstead Parkway. I just want to make sure that when they do that for global positioning, like the GPS system, that certain entities does not show up that's not part of Uniondale. Just want to make sure that was part of public record. Because, there's old issues before your time, before you were elected about the East Garden City, and I just want to make sure under this new proposal of 21 that the issue don't reoccur itself as a backdoor entity. Ms. Gooseby is aware of the particular thing, so she'll bring you up to speed. So, with that part of public record.
You bring it up in the ledge so that the legislators are aware of it, so they can make sure that other folk in the county are, because we are aware of it.
Okay, Ms. Gooseby, and thank you
Okay,
for helping
we
the people
appreciate
on
that.
Wilson Road also. I appreciate your help with that. But just make sure on, for the town level, that's
Well,
on
we're
record.
not doing it. We tried to clean it up. We had one mistake. We tried to clean that up. We may make a mistake every now and then, right, Mr. Raw? But we are aware of it because it was passed and I carried that resolution, so I know.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Thank you.
Item 25, that's the property that's abandoned that they put a fine to or something like that? Item number 25.
Item number
29665.
That's dealing with the, let's see now, with connection to site plan approval for a resident of GA zone parcel in Uniondale, corner of Uniondale and First Street. That's Inga Berman. Inga Berman at Uniondale LLC.
Okay, just want to make sure, problem, just touching base on everything. And on item 35, the finance of the town painting destination, discussion of new wells and designation. When they do that kind of work, do they also test for the quality of the water there? Because I know on the town level, I don't receive any information about how purified our water is, so I just want to make sure.
Well, everything we do has to follow all the rules of, oh, he'll.
We have our commissioner here.
Thank you,
That's a simple
Commissioner.
question.
He'll tell you.
Good morning, Supervisor, Town Board. Yes, if anytime we would drill a new well, there's a series of tests that are done before the well is even completed, and then treatment is added accordingly based on the water quality.
So when you test for lead and other contaminants, things.
There's about 160 parameters in the panel that are tested for.
And is that available to the public that they can see? Because I know we get something from the county.
No, you should get an annual water quality statement that has all the test results on the back of it.
Okay, and everything's.
I have another copy of it I can give you one.
No, but I'm just making sure everything's in the safe parameters.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. And, oh yeah, and item number 44, number 29978. I'm in favor of that, but one, respectfully request that if you do let this fly, to make sure they do provide a parking lot for people that want to dine there. Because if you go to one in Hicksville, they have an issue of parking per se because of other businesses there. And that's, I believe that's the old Nathan location. If you've ever been there, parking is very, very tight. So hopefully when this does become because it's an excellent franchise to have, and that will generate a lot of income for the town itself, that they will do address the issue of parking there in that location. Just saying.
You know, that's where the old Nathan was?
Yes.
Where Nathan's was. He has quite a bit of parking. You have parking across the street as well. So I think he's okay.
Yeah.
He
No,
should
no,
be
you have to
all
go
right.
across that big intersection to go dine there, in other words.
He'll be okay. If you find anything that you see that's wrong, just let us know.
I'm just saying make sure there's ample parking, you know, 'cause I like to shop in the
Everything is
neighborhood.
fine. His application is fine for us for now. I don't know, there may be some changes, but let us know if you see anything.
No, but you're my council person. I feel you're watching that out for us.
I don't watch the whole town. It's impossible for me to get a hold of this whole town. I only work 21 hours a week, supposedly.
Well, thank you for that. But hopefully,
You're
like I say, that's a good business, and like I say, it's an excellent circulation. But like I say, sometimes because there's other businesses there, parking is the issue. Thank
But
you.
he's only going to have Chick-fil-A. He's getting rid of, Nathan's not going to be there anymore, just Chick-fil-A.
Like I said, I'm in favor of it because if you've ever been to the establishment, they do excellent food service. They have excellent quality products there. I'm just saying, a plus for the town to have in our neck of the woods. That's all I'm
Okay,
just saying.
I'm
Thank
glad you approve.
You're all getting me very hungry.
That's on you, sir. And thank you.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Okay, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the administrative calendar?
Councilman Ambrosino. Aye. Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman Diaz-Bizito. Aye. Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Aye. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
You didn't give me a slip, sir.
You didn't tell us,
You didn't.
sir. We finished. Is he here for this?
You can speak during public comments, sir. Okay.
I think we need a break.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Ambrosino. Aye. Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman Diaz-Bizito. Aye. Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
I propose that we take a 20-minute break, please.
All right. Thank you. The senior councilwoman is asked to take a break, and so we're going to break for 20 minutes. Commissioner Rotkamp, could you just come down here for a moment?